And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Rickey Hampton. I'm with Tim Turner and Tree McDougal coming to you on a Tuesday evening. Hope everybody's doing great.
I am doing
Everything's copacetic on this end. Baseball playoffs are here. Always a fun time. Uh, and it's good to see you too.
It's so good to see both of you. It's been a it's been an interesting week in sports for sure. A lot of sacks, a lot of sacks,
Oh my God.
a lot of sacks. But yeah, how about you, Tim?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting week. My America's team, the Falcons, we dropped it 2-2. They went across. They exported their brand of foolishness to England this past week. So they got to see how you don't play football over yonder. So,
Mm.
but yeah, it's been interesting. You got the Dame Lillard trade. I think came down this past week, and baseball season's over. Postseason starting tonight, this afternoon actually.
Yeah.
And gosh, yesterday was media day for the NBA. So that means that the weeks away from camp is about to start for those guys. NHL starts next week. It is just rolling. In addition to college stuff, because we're loaded with colleges here.
Let me ask you this: for media days, you see Jimmy Butler's here.
I did. He is, but he is eschewed the emo look, and he's braided it back today.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say he had my old hairdo, and I was like, I want it back. I want my old straight hair back. What?
I was waiting for him to do some sort of sad song, to just start spilling his guts about something. I guess that was his "We Didn't Get Dame" hairdo. And so,
What?
Damian Lillard from the
Oh, yeah.
we didn't get him, so he's good now.
I mean,
Braid it back.
that was certainly an interesting look.
I was thinking, did he perm it? Because I know if I run or work out and I hair straight like that, it'll frizz all up. So I was waiting to see that. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, it ain't nothing but ultra perm.
Yeah. So there you go.
My let me see if I can get this here. Yeah, that's Jimmy. Oh, it's just the top of his head. Here we go.
There you go.
There's Jimmy.
Needs to trim though. I would say that.
It does.
But that gives it this kind of edgier look.
But I wonder how that holds up in the Miami Heat.
I'm telling you, it would not. It would
It's gonna
not.
frizz up. He looks like that dude that sang the song back in the day. We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time. Yeah,
I was thinking that. Yeah.
that's what he looks just like that dude
Yeah, I can speak from experience. That won't hold up in the
in the humidity.
humidity now.
Tim knows my former wife, Renee, a wonderful young lady, and we were down in Houston at an NAVJ once, and she ran into Reverend Al. It was sweltering heat down there, and Reverend Al's dude was looking just perfect. She asked him, "What is your secret? How do you keep that thing so polished in this heat?"
Yeah. What was the answer?
What
I
did
got
he say?
to know.
He wouldn't give it up. He wouldn't give it up.
I got to know.
That's wrong. That's so wrong with him.
Rev's dude was never flustered.
I think that perhaps he was just had his own personal hairstylist walking behind him all the time. You remember "I'm Gonna Get You Sucker" and they had their own band behind
And his own theme music walking.
Yeah.
Well,
Jerry Curl.
well, Rev and James Brown were very close, so he probably got some tips from the Godfather.
I need some of those tips. They could share. They could have shared. Yeah.
They could have.
That's not right. I gotta.
We
hit up
really
Billy
got
Butler
pressed
now
on
first.
you guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's gonna be called hair talk right now.
We were talking. It all started with Jimmy Butler's hair.
Right.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah, we're gonna get into some NBA. And as the season draws closer, I think season opens probably about 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I think the last week of the month, because I think it's a Wednesday, Thursday night type thing. The 26th, 27th, or 25th, 26th. I think that's the opening night of the NBA. So,
and everybody's just trying to give this title to Milwaukee with the acquisition of Dame Lillard, but and obviously he is a great player, and that's a great pairing. But man, I tell you, losing Drew Holiday's toughness and leadership and defense is nothing to just poo-poo.
Well,
but you got to give. You want something good, you got to give up something good too. So
that's true. But I would not. I wouldn't have given up Williams. If I like the Celtics when they did to get Drew. So I mean that was tough. That was tough. I thought that you know.
You mean Robert Williams?
Yeah, Robert Williams. Excuse me. Yeah, Robert Williams, because they gave he was never going to play in Portland. Portland was using him as capital to get some more bodies or draft picks or whatever, and that Boston wanted him, and I don't think he's the missing piece in Boston. I don't think he takes that much heat off of Tatum or Horford or anything like that. I think that might be their big three right now. But pardon me?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just don't think that's enough in the East, because I mean they have three good. I mean they're a good team. It's going to be Philly, Boston, and Milwaukee, and I think that's it. Maybe Indiana, but I keep forgetting the Heat. Miami, they pretty much kept their core. They lost some significant pieces, but I think that those are the teams that are going to be in the East. Everybody else are just playing out the 82 games.
But Tim, Drew kind of takes that Marcus Smart role. There's a role for him because they're similar kind of players, excellent defenders, can give you buckets on the offensive end, but just tough-minded. So I think Boston wanted to fill that role because they shipped Smart off and brought in Porzingis. So you got the front line of Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown. With Drew
Porzingis hasn't impressed me at all in the NBA. He looked good for a taste in Dallas, but I haven't been excited about him.
But he's better than Al Horford at this point in his career.
Pardon me? Horford? What about him?
He's better than Al Horford. He's an upgrade of Al Horford.
I don't know. Al still gets those threes. Now, what were you saying, Trey?
Oh, I said, what would make you excited about him?
Oh, no. He had to play a little bit more. He's a big dude. He should be playing a lot tougher down in the paint. And it seems like he gets lost down there. He's taller than everybody. He should be a little bit more skilled down there for a tall guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just a shade better than Wamba over there in San Antonio. He's just a shade better than that kid. It's just height.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
The East and like I said, we'll get a basketball guy in here as the season gets closer. But always fun to see big trades go down. Good stuff to talk about.
Let me switch for a second. Tim, what do you think are the, or either you, Ricky, top stories this week as far as college football?
Go ahead, Tim.
I think Georgia's struggling because the AP poll this week, I mean, Michigan has picked up more number one votes this week than they have in weeks past. Mm-hmm. Georgia struggled against Auburn. They're going to really be tested this week at home against Kentucky. Michigan looks good, but the big 18 isn't all that. They're not that. It's not that good. It's a large conference, but it's not a good conference.
The big what?
The Big 18. Isn't that how many teams they have? Had they gotten Cal and Stanford, they would have gotten 20 teams.
Hey, have you checked the wire? Because they probably added somebody today.
Oh, I looked at it. I think they said some team, the Vatican. They got them on there now.
You can create your own team, maybe.
They wouldn't miss me. They wouldn't know. I'd be lost in the shuffle. They think I was homecoming.
You just roll up in there.
That's all you have to do. But I think that's a big deal. Duke being really good.
Yeah,
I've been impressed with Duke. It was a gut-wrenching loss to Notre Dame Saturday. They lost in the last 13 seconds, I believe, of the game. And that had to be a real big ouch because they were playing them at home. They had them beat. You know, that brother running at Notre Dame hasn't been the most impressive guy in the free world because they lost the week before to Ohio State. And on the play that they lost, they only had 10 players on the field. So, so it's like, come on, coach. Then, you know, of course, you have the weekly.
Now, when that happens, I mean, the head coach gets everything stops there, really.
Does it? Because I saw with I think there were too many men on the field or not enough men on the field. The UAB game this week against Tulane, they were up huge against Tulane, like 21-7 or something. Ended up losing by a touchdown. But they had some issue where either they didn't have enough players on the field or they had too many. And Trent Dilfer, who's the head coach of UAB, former NFL player, went off on his assistants. He wasn't accepting the blame because he's the head coach. Whoever the assistant coaches were, they were responsible for whoever was supposed to be on the field. He just lit them up, and it's there for the world to see, to be replayed in perpetuity on the internet, which is why coaches can't afford to cut the fool or anybody because there's always a camera on you.
Yeah. You probably saw the Giants coach last night after Jones threw that pick.
Yeah, throwing the iPad, whatever it was.
But I mean, when that happens, that's certainly an organizational problem, and it all does. It should come back to the coach, but really, that's the coordinator. That's all.
The coordinator didn't throw that ball because when he went to cock his arm to throw, I was going, no.
No, I'm talking about 10 men on the field.
Oh, well, yeah. You see, coaches can't be everywhere, do everything. And I harken back to the year was 2017. Mm-hmm. There was a team that was up 28-3 in a game in Houston. And the head coach was doing something else, not paying attention to what the offense was doing, because had he been paying attention, and I think he said as such, he would have had to run the ball twice and kick a field goal and win the Super Bowl. Alas, he was preoccupied doing something else.
What was he doing?
What was he doing?
I don't know what he was over there dealing with the defense or something, playing spades. I don't know. But he wasn't watching the offense because they let that dude throw the ball.
He's over there playing spades, true.
Yeah. And they were trying to decide with the twos, they're going to play with
rolling
twos. They're going to have, ace, deuce. Is that how it's going to work? Whatever. And it didn't work. And they ended up losing the game. And because coaches can't be everything and do everything, it's got to be a shared thing, a shared responsibility.
Right.
That's why you see Saban up there blasting people all the time on the sideline. He's not yelling at himself. He's yelling at an assistant doing something.
I felt kind of bad for that quarterback.
Oh.
Except he's got guaranteed money, so he'll be all right.
Oh, he'll be all right. Exactly.
I think he's $20 million this year. Saquon Barkley, they wouldn't give him his money, and he's sitting out there with a bad leg, and I keep sitting. He said, "Oh, you think he can win without me?"
But the thing is, and I'll try to call this video up before we get out of here tonight, is when the ball kind of flips the computer, and you know who's saying, "You just are sorry."
Yeah. He's like, "We paid you all that money. We stuck with you now. We stuck with you."
But then he advocated for him. Said he was our guy. That's what we need to bring onto the team.
That's just a common refrain in the metropolitan New York area because they said the same thing about the kid the day before. Yes, he is our guy. We got no choice. He is our guy.
Boy, think about the New York quarterbacks, Trey and Tim. Zach Wilson over with the Jets and Daniel Jones with the. Bro, they should go have coffee together somewhere. Just,
see, the beauty of internet radio is I get to hate listen. I listen to WFAN out of New York as I go off to sleep, and and to hear the fans just lose their minds over these teams is heartwarming. It makes me, it really is. especially during baseball season when they were crushing the Mets, and it's for how they were playing. But those people there, I can understand why players pretty much are paid handsomely to live there, because you have to deal with a whole lot of mess. That the media nowhere else on the planet is like it is there in New York. Maybe Chicago, but Justin Fields has been getting lit up too on their sports station there. Yeah, nobody comes to your job and heckle you or boo you, or Then again, you guys don't know what that's like, both of you retirees. But nobody comes and heckles you guys at your place.
But that comes with the risk of going there. And I do say risk because it is a make or break city. Because man, if they love you there, you are truly the king of New York.
So that
I bet you Joe Namath hadn't paid for a meal in 50 years.
I was going to say that. So that's that phrase, that part of that song. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Frank is right. I think that's true, because it's like they value their people. They overvalue their people, and overvaluing property in New York is kind of common. As I see, there's a court case going on as well.
I think I heard a little something about it.
Yeah.
They have no problem with overvaluing something that's pretty much regular.
Apparently not. I mean, you can make a 10,000 square apartment, 30,000.
30,000. I mean,
just say it.
It's possible, like a plain yellow pumpkin.
Yes. We go to Cinderella now. We going back.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, really.
Like magic.
Yeah.
It's a different beast altogether. But I don't shed a tear. I mean, I got friends that work in the Giants organization, and I feel for them. But on the whole, because of the obnoxiousness of the national media, you're going to evoke the Jets, Giants, Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Brett Favre in any sports context. Always, any game that's mentioned, you have to mention those people at some point. These playoffs that are going on right now, I mean, this year is the first time in 30 years the Red Sox, Yankees, and Cardinals have not been in the playoffs together.
Wow.
But you're going to hear about the Yankees, Red Sox, and Cardinals irrespectively, because people who grew up watching them are broadcasting the games. So,
well, I just noted before we went on the air tree, I was talking with Tim, and the Rays hosted their first round game today, and only had 19,000 fans in attendance. And I mean, that is just stunningly. That's the worst. I think they made history.
Yeah, it was the worst attended playoff game non-COVID.
Right.
In COVID, they didn't allow folks in the building. So that's
Texas won the game. Texas won that game 4-0, shut them out.
Right.
And if it had been Tampa Bay and New York
or Boston,
they'd have been sold out.
Absolutely. All those snowbirds that come down there to see their teams play that they grew up with, still thinking, Babe Ruth is playing as opposed to, Aaron Judd.
Yeah. And Minnesota ended their 18-game playoff losing streak, beating Toronto 3-1.
That was hard to believe. They had a rookie come up there and hit 2 home runs in the game today, and I think it's like the 5th rookie in playoff history to have 2 home runs in his debut. And I didn't read the story. I was just listening to that storyline, but I vaguely remember Andrew Jones doing that against the Yankees in the World Series back in '96. I remember that because I wasn't able to watch the game. I was at a Tampa Bay and Miami, a Tampa Bay New York Rangers hockey game.
Oh my goodness!
That night in Tampa, and I'm like, of course I was assigned to go because I would have chosen to be in front of watching the Braves World Series instead of watching hockey in Tampa. But Andrew Jones did it against the Yankees in the World Series.
Hey, speaking one more baseball note, Ohtani they think the contract he will sign this year would be worth $500 million.
That's
He will
nice.
get a $500 million contract.
I don't think that's right.
Sweet.
If you're him, that's awesome. I don't see how that. Who's that?
Who?
That's a Yankee. That's a Yankee and Dodger thing. There's two teams that have the money to do that: the Yankees and the Dodgers. I mean, and if I'm him, I don't have to move out of my apartment. I'm going with the Dodgers. I get to stay right there in metropolitan Los Angeles. I'm not going anywhere else. I'd hate to see it.
Yeah.
So worth it? Worth it?
Oh, absolutely, he's worth it. But it's going to be it's a 2-year thing because I think he won't be able to pitch until 2024, right?
Right, but he's still going to give you 40 homers next year.
Yeah, but he can hit next year, but he won't be able to. You won't get that dual threat until the following year. And people should be able, should wait on that. He'll be worth it if he's anything like me. On Acuna, when he came back from his knee surgery, he was really awful. But he's 2 years removed from that now, and here he is on the cusp of winning the MVP award. So, I mean, you got to give people time to do stuff. Granted, I'm the worst general manager in the history of sports. So,
well, think about it. They had Ohtani and Mike Trout, two of the best players in the game. And 73 and 89 this year, a very similar record last year. Phil Nevin got fired. I think they fired him yesterday.
Oh yeah,
as the manager.
Yeah, they're like three or four openings now. Nevin got fired. You got Showalter's out in New York with the Mets. Kapler's out in San Francisco. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. But those are the ones that pretty much stand out.
How many black managers do we have now?
I would count that as one.
Wow.
Well, there's minority managers. You got Cora in Boston, and I think that might be it.
Dusty Baker's the only black manager now?
Yeah. I mean, it's really odd. I mean, he was the only black representative in the World Series.
There's only 2 black players in Major League Baseball now, so I guess.
Yeah. Come on, it's more than that, but that's okay.
No, it's
but the season, it was a really interesting baseball season. I know Trees is a diehard Braves fan from way back there. And MLB season, the Braves had announced had a one for the ages, a season for the ages that I didn't get a chance to see because YouTube TV does not have MLB or Bally's Sports South. So I only could watch the national games. That's why I can't wait for the playoffs. But, you got these guys. The Braves had a great year, 307 home runs, tied a major league record for a team with home runs with the, I think it was the Minnesota Twins of 2019. Spencer Strider broke strikeout record for the team. I think 281. He was the top strikeout guy in Major League Baseball. Only 20-game winner this year. Matt Olson, who replaced Freddie Freeman. People were, clutching their pearls when Freddie went to L.A. All Matt Olson did this year was hit 50-something home runs and 54 home runs and 137 RBI. And Acuna, I mean, he was the fifth man ever to be 40-40, then the only man to be 40-50, only man to be 40-60, only man to be 40-70. That's 40 home runs and stolen bases. So
and Olsen, he started the year out. He was terrible at the beginning of the year, wasn't he?
He wasn't very hot. And which you think about too, they needed the bat of Marcell Ozuna. And I have I'm dubious of folks rooting too hard for people who have problems off the field. He's had a couple of off the field incidences that have been distasteful. And I think last year it was a domestic issue with Marcell. It might have been domestic or either traffic or something that happened. It was just something that did not reflect well on the ball club. And people were ready to bury him in April. I'm trying to think what his batting average is, 0.85 with 2 home runs, 2 RBI. And everybody was saying, yeah, he won't make it past May. He's done. Well, he had 2 home runs Sunday to give him 40 for the year, and he's got over 100 RBIs. He had a 100 RBI season, 40 home runs, batted 297 with 38 home runs. Excuse me. After that, whatever. But he's had a great comeback, and again,
so now everybody loves him. I'm sorry. Now everybody loves him.
Oh, absolutely.
Those little incidents, we don't care about that.
Winning is a great deodorant. That's what they always say.
Yeah.
You know,
What
anytime
trouble? What trouble?
It's Febreze, just like that. I think the year the Braves won the World Series in '95, but the manager had some sort of a domestic issue. But it's like, you know, but they won the World Series in '95, so hey, okay.
The Braves need to win this whole thing.
I hope they do. I don't want to be like the Boston Bruins had the best record of the NHL and got swept in the first round of the playoffs in hockey this year.
They need to win this whole thing.
Well, I don't know.
Have a year like that and not win it.
Well, yeah.
That'd be
postseason is what matters, because if you were like, you know, they're the team of the '90s. Okay, they won every year in the World Series a ton. One World Series.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
And
it's hard. Hey, the other team practices too, guys. Hey,
write that down.
Yeah, I was thinking.
You were asking about college football, the big story in college football. I think every week the big story in college football is Colorado and Deion Sanders and what's happening out there.
Yeah, still.
And man, it looked like they were going to get run out of the gym, the field the other day by USC, and they rallied to make it a respectable score. They ended up losing 48-41. And, you know, that when you're 1-11, you can have some moral victories. And Tree, I think that was a moral victory for them. I think they're going to come out. They're never going to say that. Deion's never going to say that. But they're going to come out of that game with some confidence now as they head into the rest of their schedule.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who I have this week, because I totally did not look it up this week.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, they still have the celebrity power there. So I think that people are still rooting for him and the team. And so I know they said when they were down, the fans started leaving, but then when they start coming back, they start filing back into the stadium. So
I wouldn't let them back. No.
You are not.
Yeah, I think I got some script. Caleb Williams was terrific. I think he's going to be the first pick in the draft next year.
He was outstanding. He was really good.
Yeah. And I think there was a report saying there are only 5 teams. There are 5 teams he will not play for, and if they have a chance to draft him, he won't go back in the draft. And you know,
what team is that?
Yeah, it didn't say the 5 teams.
Oh, okay.
But the one thing this kid has going for him now, he's making a lot of money through these NIL deals. Yeah, he's not making NFL money, but if he gets hungry late at night on campus, you know, he could probably get in his Benz or something and go somewhere and get something.
Well, I know good and well, old boy's he's got to deal with Wendy's, so
he's still on the Wendy's commercials.
Oh, really? So that Wendy's will say, "Hey, we'll bring it to you."
Right?
Yeah,
he'll have to go out
for free.
Yeah, have to go out.
Well, he's got several. I mean, he's really comfortable in front of the camera. That's another thing. So I know people don't like that. They don't like self-assured people, as we've seen with Deion and his squad. But because I've heard people really get on Williams about some of the antics that he did last year before he won the Heisman. So, but I'm a fan. I became a huge fan. He looked really sharp.
Yeah, he'll make somebody a good quarterback. But you know what's important? We know that the coaching you get at that level, man. If you get with a team that doesn't know what to do with you, and I kind I kind of see that with Justin Fields over in Chicago. We were talking about him earlier. I don't think they know what to do with him and his skill set. And I was I was talking to Tim about, I got a chance to watch Ritter play when they came to Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And I like a lot of the stuff he does when the Falcons came up here. But, I mean, if you don't block for a guy, it doesn't matter if it's Aaron Rodgers. So that's...
Well, the quarterback for the Jets, for the Giants found that out last night.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah,
Oh, you sacked 11 times?
I thought I counted 11, but they reported 10.
You're right. I thought he said 10, but you did mention earlier that it was 11. So,
yeah. And here we're watching Shedeur Sanders. He is a very accurate passer of the football. And they got it going, and they made a game out of this last week.
But they have that dubious clock management, though. My goodness. Toward the end, it's like they acted like they had all day to make plays.
Yeah.
That was problematic. And then they didn't get the onside kick, which was a bust. But, I mean, it was a much better game than it started out to be, which, that was a testament to those kids and then their stick-to-itiveness and coming back on.
I was looking at also this weekend, switching back to NFL, the Patriots loss. That was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, pretty bad. The worst in Belichick's career.
Pretty bad.
And that kid too, Jones. He threw a pass that you like. Yeah, no, don't do it. He was staring at the receiver the entire time, and that was the problem. So.
And these highlights are courtesy of the National Football League. This is part of that beat down by the Cowboys. Could Bill Belichick job be on the line? He hadn't had any success since Brady left.
No, and I think that probably sticks in this craw too. That people are saying,
of course it does.
You can't win without Brady. So he's going to try to win with a very substandard quarterback because Mac Jones, I mean, it's one thing to lose. It's one thing to not be that good, but he's also getting a reputation for being a dirty player. For some hits and things like that. So, I mean, he was really
Jones is getting a reputation for being a dirty player.
It's the same issue. New England is not protecting him like they should,
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
See, that's not what he hit that one, but that's not what he does.
No.
No. Yep. So I think the question was, would Belichick's job be in jeopardy? Did you guys answer that question?
No. I don't think it'll ever be in jeopardy. Like most coaches in the NFL, they'll have to say, "Bill, please resign." They don't want to fire him. Nobody wants to fire Bill Belichick. He's a legend.
It'll be an Eddie Robinson kind of thing.
Yeah.
When Graham finally said, "Eddie,
Coach, go sit down."
Yeah. Let's go.
But they kept talking about who's the coach? They kept going on about he was 72. Drawing a blank.
Pete Carroll?
Yes, thank you. Yes. And he was getting all excited and he was sprinting and they kept going on about his age. And I was like,
yeah, he's 72 going on 22.
No, I was like
running around.
I kept making that a point that, and he's 72, he's getting his sprints in today. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I just thought they made a big issue about his age.
But I do believe after a while you kind of lose your voice, although this is an entirely new roster
I think it's also people poach your coaches and stuff because you got McDaniel, the guy he's out in Vegas. It's a couple of coaches that are around the league that are former people on his staff.
Yeah, he doesn't have Matt Patricia anymore. I mean, how can he win without?
Oh, please. See, you Detroit people in your haterade.
How can he possibly win without that guy around?
Patricia was really a stinko there in Detroit. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, so I don't know, but everybody got a timestamp on him now. He can't keep doing this.
Well, no, 2 bad years in a row, or has it been 3? Ever since Brady's left, have they been losing? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the common denominator. But they never draft well. They never get. They never
when they just need better players.
Pardon me?
They just have better players.
They used to get better players. I'm thinking, like I said, they don't draft well now for some reason. I think people poach their front office folks as much as they do their coaching staff. They want to do things the Belichick way, and and that eventually will have an effect. A lot of times people stay around to be a dynasty, but I don't see it there. I mean, look at Dallas. Man, Jerry Jones is probably just waiting for McCarthy to do something crazy because Dan Quinn's defense has been outstanding. But again, I don't know if I give him a head coaching job again because he'd probably be playing spades again somewhere in an important game. So I don't.
You should be playing spades.
This is wild, man.
There's people, they're culprits from that Super Bowl game that will never, ever be forgiven. And that is Kyle Shanahan out of San Francisco, the offensive coordinator, for him calling those stupid plays. Matt Ryan for never checking out of those things. Although D-Lay had told us that he was not allowed to ever audible out of one of his plays. And Shanahan.
Wait a minute. Matt Ryan was never allowed to audible.
I said when D-Lay was on the show, I said, D-Lay, come on. He's a veteran. He's been around 12 years. Right. He cannot call an audible if he thinks the play is going to stink. And then he said that Shanahan told those players, you run my ish when I call it. And that's so he was not allowed to check out of the play. So I blame those two, and I blame Dan Quinn for not looking out on the field saying, what are we doing? Time out or something to stop the foolishness. So those 3 people are like, always will have that taint, that stain until they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. Speaking of Matt Ryan, there was a report that the Jets called him, and he said, thank you, but no thank you. I'm sure the Jets probably calling in. They probably just dialing numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever played football before?
That's what that was.
Yes.
My phone said
1957 I played. Oh, okay.
My phone said probably spam. I mean, it was a 212 area code, and it said 202. It said probably spam, so I didn't pick it up.
You better suit up, Tim.
I stood up right. I look like Jerry Rice and those other cats in that old man commercial. And Marino and those dudes sleeping on the bench.
Never mind.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Oh wow!
No.
That's all. I was going to ask about that. We talked about that kid getting the NIL deals, but we didn't talk about the NIL deals that were canceled.
Yeah, that was a story here in
Michigan State. Yeah.
In Michigan, over in East Lansing. Spartan Dog, Spartan Dogs for Life, SD4L, canceled nearly all his contracts with Michigan State football players. And I think they have about 5 guys left. Well, as you guys know, I know you two know, and our viewers out there, one of the biggest stories has been the suspension and later firing of Mel Tucker as the Michigan State football coach, and for inappropriate behavior with a contractor at the university. You all know the details of what happened there, and the program is just in shambles right now. And Spartan Dogs for Life say, "Hey, we're getting out of this, man." They are a Spartan Dogs for Life, or they do
They do the football team, right? And there's another.
Right, they did the football team, but what they try to do is gear, uh, T-shirts, and things like that.
Mhm.
But they only had like 100 subscriptions,
Mhm.
so they say, "Hey, we getting out of this. Sorry."
Sorry.
I don't even know if they said sorry.
They saw the ship.
We out.
This Spartan ship is sinking. Sparty's on the bow trying to save it,
Yeah,
and everybody's just
there.
jumping out. I think 2 guys left the portal.
I was gonna say
they
that
were
portal's gonna.
transferring this week.
Yeah, that portals are gonna be wide
But
open.
the larger story here is that they were able to do that, and I wonder what protections some of these kids have in making some of these deals. A guy like Caleb Williams doesn't have to worry about that.
No,
You know.
but it's like the third guard, offensive guard. He's like, "Where's my money?"
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So
I hate that for the kids. Yeah, I was trying to understand how they just pull out. Did they not
well,
have some type of signed contract with those student athletes, or how you
yeah.
just pull out?
But how much do these guys know at that age about contracts, right? To try to protect themselves. And, there have been some kids, I think it was a kid at Michigan State who decided not to come because his NIL deal was not fulfilled. That they promised him X amount of dollars through the NIL deal, and he didn't get it. He said, "I'm going somewhere else."
I don't blame him. That's the name of the game now.
I mean,
on the major college level, I don't think you have those type of machinations on at the lower level, like the Swag Miak and those kind of kids. I don't think of too many major NIL deals that anybody those kids would sign. But
yeah, I think Shadur Sanders had something last year at Jackson State.
That's one cat.
And maybe he and Hunter had something.
Yeah.
And we know why they had it, because of the high profile they had through Deion Sanders.
They know who his people.
Yeah.
I was gonna say is, but I caught myself. I wanted to say it.
Speaking of NCAA football, first of all, did the SIAC report anything this week?
Did the what now?
Did the SIAC?
Nope, they did not. They're consistent.
Still haven't reported?
They reported nothing.
Tim, you might have to go work. You might have to go work there.
Nah,
It bothers you so.
What they did was I kept a note from last week. They're going to redo the title game. The title game, I think, is going to be in December here in Atlanta at Lakewood Stadium, which is not a bad place to play. But they're going to bring back the title game. I don't see what rationale that would be, because you're not gonna make it. It won't be a sellout. That time of year, if it's December 18th in Atlanta, some ice storm or something rolling up in this bad boy, I'm not sitting out there watching Miles play Benedict.
Hey, does the SIAC, you know how we have the SWAC MEAC championship game? Does the SIAC and the CIAA can they pull off something like that?
Funny you should ask that. A couple of weeks ago, they did announce something like the Florida Bowl, where CIAA and the SWAC and the SIAC champs will play in Florida in December, in a thing like that, the Celebration Bowl type thing, or whatever the SWAC MEAC championship. So they're going to do that.
But a lot of the CIAA schools, when they win, they're going to the Division II playoffs.
Exactly.
Just like getting that early exit.
Right. I remember when I was when I was getting ready to get married, and we were gonna think about having a date the weekend after Thanksgiving, and the SID for Jackson State was chastising me about how do you get how do you dare get married during football season? I said, Sam, you guys gonna lose this week. I'm not worried about my wedding plans being disrupted next week by they always lose in the first round. Always lose in the first round.
Ah.
So that wasn't a consideration.
Yeah, I covered Tennessee State. They got past the first round a couple of times. Well, one time they played Jackson State.
Yeah. Because the next week I think they're going to go play at Arkansas State or something. I know you and I were sitting up in the press box.
Yeah. No, it was Nevada Reno.
Yeah.
Nevada Reno.
We were talking about trying to go to Reno. Both of us looking forward to that trip, and I didn't get to go. Because Tennessee State took care of business in Jackson.
Well, Tim, how's your team doing?
What team is that? Morehouse?
Yeah.
See? I think you're being
I have to, no. I care. I care. So,
Well, Morehouse has a perfect slate. So, going into the Tuskegee game, they have a perfect season. So, fingers crossed that they'll win one.
See, when I
0-4. What's that?
There must not be a commitment to football in Morehouse.
No, there actually is now. This is the first-year coach. He came in from Rice. He was on the defensive staff at Rice, former Morehouse player. And it's just him getting his players in. That's all it is. And got a new staff, new everything. It's hard. You have to be patient with this. That's why if this were like last year's coach and they did this, it'd be like, okay, enough. You got to go.
I think that's what you did say, right? Enough. You got to go.
I did. They only won the last game of the season, but they beat Clark. And that's all that matters. You beat your rival, that's fine and dandy. But I think they expect more from this year. And they just haven't done it yet. They played out of their league a lot early on. So they got a rivalry game this weekend in Birmingham against Tuskegee. The game used to be played in Columbus, but people there lost interest in the game. So this is the second of a 3-year contract to play it in Birmingham. And it'll be an event over there this weekend, irrespective of the records. I mean, Tuskegee, I think, got mollywopped by A&M this past weekend. And so they're both coming in having had losses. So
you're not going over to Birmingham?
Not this weekend.
Not this weekend?
There's some more important things happening in Atlanta this weekend.
Okay.
So I would prefer to stay here. But yeah, so you got the top major college stuff. You got the top 10 of Georgia, Michigan, Texas. Texas is probably the talk of the town because they really have come on this year, and they got a big game this weekend at the Red River Classic. Is it the Red River Classic? The Red River Shootout. One way or the other, Texas, Oklahoma in Dallas this weekend, and they're both undefeated. So that should be a great game on this weekend coming up. I think Georgia, Kentucky is probably one of the last tough team that they play in the East because nobody else in the East is any good for Georgia, so they can pretty much cakewalk into the SEC championship game against whoever's going to be over there. Is it Ole Miss? They beat LSU on Saturday night in a really big upset. Is it going to be Alabama?
It's going to be Alabama.
So, you don't know what they're going to do. So you hope those are the power teams over there. So that's the good stuff about major college football. What really surprises me in the almost dearly departed Pac-12 is how many teams they have high up in the polls. Matter of fact, Oregon State, which is one of the orphans, them and Oregon State and Washington State both will be without a conference next year. It'll be a 2-person conference. It'll be called the Tupac. Is some.
I love that.
So it's just those two, but Oregon State is 15 in the poll. You got coming in out of that conference. The highest rank is Washington at 7, Oregon at 8, SC at 9. I mean, 3 teams in the top 10 out of the Pac-12, and then you have Oregon State at 15. And I'm sorry, and Washington State, the 2 of the Tupacs are in the top 15. So that's really interesting. They got 5 teams, 5 teams in the top 25, and that's uncommon for that conference.
Yeah, and they're gonna try to go out in style, I guess.
Well, they will. I mean, you look at it like that, and you're stunned because these kids are just playing their hearts out. I mean, they know that the fate is, and they have no idea what's going to happen next for them. You know, then you move over to the SWAC before time runs out. That they have some games that Grambling and Prairie View played in Dallas this past week in the Cotton Bowl in that annual classic, and then Grambling beat Prairie View 35-20.
And North Carolina Central spanked Mississippi Valley 45-3 in the Circle City Club.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get the attendance. I was actually just looking for that.
Please find it.
That used to be the showcase.
Absolutely. It used to be huge. A big game out of the MEAC was that North Carolina Central in overtime came from behind to beat Campbell. And now, see, that looked like it was probably Campbell's homecoming, and they scheduled Central and then got face shamed because they came back. The quarterback, Davius Richards, he tied a school record with 4 rushing touchdowns. And so in the win, he rushed for 86 yards and 4 TDs, and he passed for 265 yards and a touchdown.
Boy,
so that was outstanding effort by him to bring Central back to beat Campbell 49-48 in overtime.
Wow, that was a great win.
I'm looking at the other Howard
put it on Morgan State 45.
So Howard beat up one dude, Robert Morris, for 35-10. That doesn't seem quite fair, does it? No.
I say the school where I fed many Aggies at North Carolina A&T.
Meal card.
State, yeah. I fed many people there, many guys.
A&T took a loss. I mean, with only one, they won. They beat Norfolk by 2, which I think is probably a mini rivalry over there for that.
Well, it's a little bit of rivalry. I don't know because Norfolk State.
A&T and Hampton joined the Big South, correct?
Yes, they did.
I wonder how that is working out.
I think it probably doesn't translate to any more attendance because I think if you don't have an affinity for the schools, because I think about those things all the time. I like if some school in the SIAC tried to go to like the Big South or something like that, would the crowds follow? But it's like people are used to playing the same schools over and over again, and to break out of that, I think is problematic. I see where Virginia Union, they won 47-7.
Sir.
So they're 4-1, 2-1 in the CIAA. I didn't know they lost the game. I thought they were pretty good. They looked pretty good.
We lost last week to somebody. I forgot who it was. I'm looking at the Big South, and I don't see A&T and Hampton. Is it the Big South that they're in?
I think it is the Big South.
Gardner Webb, High Point, Longwood, Presbyterian, Radford. Well, these conferences are just changing so much.
I know.
You can't call the Atlantic Coast Conference the Atlantic Coast Conference next year when you got two teams from the West Coast on there.
All right.
Yeah. Back in my day, all my teams are on the East Coast. Back in my day, all my favorite teams are on the East Coast.
There you go.
The ACC. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be the back in the day woman.
Hampton is in the Coastal Athletic Conference now.
I'm gonna need a map.
Coastal Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
Coastal Athletic.
Okay.
No, now one says the Colonial Athletic Association. They stayed in the Big South 4 years and joined the.
Well, they just did it this year.
Yep. CAA. This was their first year. They can forget about it. I don't have to.
Money related thing. They had to. It probably said you guys are traveling too much. and we can't afford to keep up with you guys. So
Yeah.
they probably found a conference where they had like, you could take a bus to,
That is,
Uber.
yes, where you can Uber, take about 3 or 4 vans and get up the street back as opposed to plane ride.
We ain't got no money for that.
I'm looking at their schedule. I know their football schedule this year. Hampton's they play Grambling and Norfolk State, Howard, now Richmond, Campbell, Monmouth, Delaware.
Yeah.
We still got A&T, Maine, William and Mary, and
Who was the main game played? Was that a home game?
Maine they haven't played them yet. Let's see.
I mean, is it going to be a home game?
Maine is in Maine.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to Delaware, to Maine. My goodness.
But the thing is, when they come there, people are going to be like, who? Maine?
Exactly. Well, they'll know they're the football team.
Who this?
Who this? They'll know they're the football team.
We talked about it before. We talked about it before, but I think this is just drastic miscalculations by these universities leaving HBCU conferences for white conferences.
A case in point, Savannah State. Well, it's not so much left of the black conferences, white conferences, but they played up and went to the MEAC for forever and got beat down. And
back.
Yeah, back to SIAC. I mean, that was just.
And that may happen in other universities. They may get there and go, wait,
Well, that's what's happening in Hampton, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta know your role or know where you are. It's not bad. It's not bad aspirations. It's not, but you gotta have. Is everybody with me on this? Let's go to DC1.
Are your fans with you? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more minutes.
Tim,
who wins these wild card series?
Okay, baseball. I got the Twins and the Rangers in the in the wild card.
Now, did you have them before they won tonight?
Oh, I had them before they won tonight.
Okay.
I was kind of dubious on the Rangers because Max Scherzer is like the kiss of death. He's really not very good right now. But I had the Twins and the Rangers, and I got the Phillies and the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
So
in fact, that score, Phillies leading 3-1 in the 7th, and the Diamondbacks up 4-3 in the 9th.
Yeah, I'm terrified of the Phillies beating the Braves when they advance, because the Braves and Dodgers have first round byes. Pardon me?
I said, don't be scared.
Well, hey, I'm gonna stay on the porch.
Did you here in Detroit, home of the first place Detroit Lions? Somebody asked Coach Campbell. Somebody asked Dan Campbell, well, how does it feel that you guys are the hunted now in the NFC North? He said, well, we aren't afraid to be hunted. In fact, we'll be right here on the porch waiting for them when they come.
Dang. That dude, he exudes confidence. That dude right there.
I mean, he really does. But Tim and Tree, their offensive and defensive lines are just physical.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
they got some grown men on both sides of that ball, which is making me wonder that this could be a pretty good team.
I sure was hating them people talking about before the Falcon Lions game and saying they haven't had any sacks. They haven't had any sacks. And they went up there and they
were chasing Patrick Mahomes. You ever try to sacking him?
They were just crushing him every 5. He couldn't even breathe. So I'm like, what? Y'all don't talk. Don't speak into existence. But Detroit looks great. Your kid off of the edge, the second-year dude from Michigan.
Aiden Hutchinson,
outstanding. You got some really good young players on defense.
And Houston, Brian Branch has been a revelation.
Yes. So hats off to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I mean, they are still the Detroit Lions, so everybody's
I don't
Don't
know.
get too excited. Just don't get,
You got the
just hold
Packers.
back a little bit.
You got the Packers on Thanksgiving, and so they'll probably be better by then. But I'm like, this is one of those few Thanksgivings that you be like, man, why does Detroit even come on Thanksgiving every year? This year won't be like that. People want to see you. People want to see the Cowboys. So
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get out of here, guys. It's been a great evening, great conversation. We talked about hairdos. Well, some
hair,
of us.
as Common said in the commercial, hair is for suckers.
All right. Well, be kind, everybody.
All right. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Tim
Bye.
Turner, Chief McDougal, I'm Rick Hampton.
He's gone.